Tonight's slate for MLB DFS is a lot less shaky than the ones we've had the past couple of nights. If you had asked me what my level of confidence was heading into the past couple of nights, I would have given you a low number. Tonight, I feel a lot better. I think that we've got three good pitchers that I feel solid about for today. We've got some good stacks we want to use. One stack I definitely want to use, and then one that was added throughout the day for today to make us feel really good about this slate. So let's get you set for tonight's slate of MLB DFS by taking your questions live on air. This is the FanDuel Live Q&A right here on the FanDuel YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, and Twitter channels. My name is Jim Sonis. I am a senior writer and analyst for numberFire.com, here to take your questions for the next half hour. Get those questions in no matter where you are watching. We'll take them from YouTube in the chat section, from Twitch, Twitter, and Facebook as well. I see Schmodenstein is over on Periscope saying hello. B&Up Ari is also over on YouTube saying hello. Welcome to both of you, the FanDuel Live Q&A for today. Now, I do want to start things off here by talking about the one change we have had since this morning. I had assumed that Jordan Holloway was going to start for the Marlins for today, and Holloway is not bad. You know, he's had some solid starts this year. Instead of Nick Neidert making the start for the Nationals for today, Neidert's 4 or 5 appearances in the big league so far have been, they've had their ups and downs for sure in those times. 6.23 skill interactive ERA, 14% strikeout rate, 14% walk rate, a lot of hard contact, and a decent number of fly balls. That is a profile against which we can stack, which to me says, although the Nationals were not super high on my list this morning, I need to have them number 2. So to me, the new rankings for stacks for today are going to be Blue Jays 1. The Blue Jays are still 1 by a significant margin. They are the one really good offense and a really good matchup. So it's still Blue Jays 1. But to me, Nationals are now number 2, given they will face Neidert at home, which is a key. 82 degrees in Washington for today. And it's outdoors, unlike Miami. So really good situation. And it does mean that we want to stack the Nationals. The reason we are focusing so much on that second stack is because I want to spend up a pitcher. My top 2 guys for today are going to be Lance McCullers and Robbie Ray. And those guys are 10-2 and 10-6. So if I want to get to them while stacking the Blue Jays, it's going to be tough. Let's just kind of play this out here hypothetically. My thought process was I wanted to pepper the mid-range of the Blue Jays hitters. So let's go Springer, Bichette, Teoscar, and I'll go Grichuk, I guess. It's either him or Gurriel. We'll go with Grichuk, though. 26.75 left for the remaining batters, which means our second stack has to be pretty low salaried, and that's even with McCullers as opposed to Robbie Ray as the pitcher. We would need to go 4-3-1 with Ray because of the Blue Jays, but if it's Ray, it's 25.75. That's definitely tough. But I think that given we have the Rangers, the Tigers, and the Nationals all to choose from now from a value perspective, we can make it work. So to me, I think the Nationals deserve to be high on our list from a value perspective. Let's talk to DJ over on Facebook. DJ wants to know the thoughts on Eric Fetty for tonight. I absolutely will not get there because there's not enough strikeouts. You see here a lot of red on his profile. Obviously, the matchup is very good, but I need more than a good matchup to go at a pitcher. The sample here for Fetty is 5 starts with fewer cutters and more sinkers. Sinkers are, in general, bad pitches for DFS because they may help you in the batted ball department. As you can see here, Fetty is getting letting up just a 27% fly ball rate in this time. So that's probably accomplishing his goal, but it has come very much at the expense of strikeouts, a 16% strikeout rate, 14% walk rate, 5.74 skill interactive ERA. I can't touch that no matter how good the matchup is. So Fetty, I think that if you maybe choose, I'd rather stack against him than use him as a pitcher for tonight. Let's talk to Kyle over on YouTube. Do you like Wainwright tonight? Do the Cubs provide enough strikeout upside? I think that Adam Wainwright is much more in play than Eric Fetty, and I think that he is worth discussing at least. Wainwright will not be my top 3. However, there's a path to a good game here for sure. As you can see, Wainwright, this is over his past 6 starts with less movement on his curveball. 4.02 skill interactive ERA, 25% strikeout rate. Is letting up some hard contact, but enough ground balls to partially cancel it out. 86 WRC plus for the Cubs, a lot of strikeouts. So I've got McCullers 1, Ray 2, I have Dylan Cease 3, but I think Wainwright's probably right there at 4. So Kyle, if you were drawn towards Wainwright based on your research, I'm not going to push back on that. I think that's totally fine. So I think that is a solid one to shout out to. Wainwright's salary for today is $8,800, so a bit higher than C's at 86, but still not high. So yeah, Wainwright definitely works. No objections from me with regards to him. Would rank the other guys higher, but still on board with him for sure. Let's talk to Diffuse. How do you feel about Michael Pineda with the White Sox lefties or a Sox stack in general? So the numbers here on Pineda are, this is his past 5 starts of decreased velocity on his slider. So it looks like his velo is not good his first start back. I don't know why is it linked to Yu Darvish? That's very strange. It's Pineda up here. I don't know why Google wants me to go to Yu Darvish. Anyway, let's just click and do this the old-fashioned way and check out Pineda. His first start back, velo was low, 82 pitches for him. Let's check out how low that velo was and how concerned we should be. So looking at the fastballs and the sliders here, yeah, it's actually pretty low. In line with what it was on the start where he got hurt. In this time, in 4 or 5 starts with decreased velocity, he has a 6.35 ERA. He let up 5 runs against the White Sox last time out. Didn't get a lot of strikeouts. So I do think that the White Sox are a team I would be broadly okay with stacking. The reason the White Sox were not super high on my stacking list is because we have been kind of deprived of guys we truly want to use on this team from a stacking perspective. I'm okay with, some of the ancillary type pieces, but, Gavin Sheets has shown his power, had a walk-off dinger a couple nights ago. So we can do that. I don't tend to use Vaughn versus righties. Abreu works, but expensive, or high salaried, I should say. Anderson, $3,700, same thing. So to me, the reason for not going at the White Sox was more so about the fact that I just don't have a lot of guys on that team that I want to use right now, given all the injuries, but I do think that they are a consideration because the matchup does seem pretty good, and they did just see Pineda last week. One guy I would shout out as being good value play is Brian Goodwin, $2,800, has shown good pops so far this year versus righties, actually weirdly versus lefties too, but I think that Goodwin, if you want like a value play, one-off outfielder, he works pretty well at $2,800. Let's talk to Patrick over on Facebook. Is Webb viable tonight against the Dodgers? So Webb is not fully stretched out yet. He came off the injured list 2 starts ago. In the 2 starts since, he has gone 45 pitches and 60 pitches. I need that number a bit higher. So Logan Webb, when he's been using his curveball, has been pretty good, pretty effective, really good skill interactive ERA, decent number of strikeouts. He's just not going deep enough in games yet. It does help that he's facing the Dodgers. That does make it a lot easier to say no. But I think that what I would do, Patrick, here is, like, if you enjoy watching baseball and you want to check out why did it go to Alec Mills? Oh my goodness, I am having so much trouble with this stupid sheet. Let's go to Logan Webb directly. Alec Mills was 6 days ago. Maybe it was 2. I don't know, whatever, same thing. Anyway, I would try to watch Logan Webb start and see how he looks in that game. Because if he looks good, then it could be a situation where we turn to him for his next start. Strikeouts haven't quite been there yet since he came back, so we do want that swing and strike rate to get higher, but we'll see. So I would say, Patrick, watch him tonight if you can, dig into the box score after the game, because he should go around 75 pitches for tonight, and if he can get, 75 there, that puts him around 90 for his next start. That might be enough. So I would keep an eye on him for tonight, but don't use him as of yet. Let's talk to Danny over on Facebook. Do you like the Astros stack? The Astros facing Eli Morgan. Morgan has gotten a weird number of strikeouts with his velocity increasing, and that's kind of, oh my goodness, I'm just going to go direct. I'm not going to stop trying because it's not working. So we're going to go Eli Morgan and pull him up. His results, I don't think, have been very good, but the peripherals are a bit more interesting. So let's go here. The velocity increase was over his past 4 starts. So these specific ones here, most of the strikeouts came against the Cubs in that one game, but he did get 6 against Oakland. They're a tough team. Obviously, he has let up some runs still, so it's definitely not out of the question to stack against him. But I think that he's a decent pitcher. He's not terrible by any means. So I think the Astros work. The reason that I'm not super high on them is that if I'm ranking out the high salaried stacks, and the Astros very much are part of that, I'm going to go the Blue Jays first by a pretty significant margin against Richards. So to me, it's more so I like the Blue Jays more than I don't like the Astros at all if I'm choosing to pick a high salaried stack. So Danny, let's say you don't like the Jays against Richards, or maybe you want to avoid them due to popularity, then the Astros could be the place you go from a high salary perspective. But for me, I do like the Blue Jays a lot and want to get there a lot. And that does naturally push the Astros lower just because I probably can't get to both, even if I go Cease as my pitcher for today. Let's talk to Michael over on YouTube. Which Nationals would you favor in a stack? Let's see if the lineup is out yet. Let's see where Alcides Escobar is batting for today, because you got to get the most powerful hitter in baseball in there. No lineup yet for the Nationals. Let's pull up their projected lineup here and see what that is looking like. And I actually want to go back here and plug in McCullers as a pitcher just so I know how much flexibility we have for our hitters for today. So let's go with McCullers. Obviously, we want to get to Soto and Turner if we can. Soto, $4,400. That's a lot for sure. Definitely worth it, but it is a lot. And then Trey Turner is $4,300. So both these guys are tough. I'll see the Escobar has a wrist injury. That's fun. Bruised right wrist. Okay, so potentially good to go. I guess we'll see. Either way, I think the first guy you turn to here from a salary saving perspective is Josh Bell. Josh Bell, $2,400, likely to bat in the middle part of that order. And against righties this year, he does have a 188 ISO. So he's hit for good power. Not a big fly ball guy, which is super, 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 super annoying. But I think here it's kind of hard to be too picky, just given the fact that we need to save some salary in order to get to Soto and Turner while using a high salary pitcher. So I would say go to Josh Bell first. If Alcides Escobar does wind up playing, I don't know if this is just like desperation for value, but I'm not opposed to using him at $2,600. He had 5 home runs in AAA before he got called up. He's had a home run here. He's actually hit for a bit of power in a small sample versus righties. The ISO for Alcides Escobar, 159. Obviously, we're grading on a scale here because a 159 ISO is not high, but it's also not low. So I don't hate it. I would say he had 2 stolen bases, or 1 maybe in AAA before he got called up, hitting fly balls, not making a ton of hard contact, but like, hey, I need to save salary. Alcides Escobar helps me do that. Might bat first if he plays. I don't know. So I think that I could talk myself into it. I would say if he winds up being in the lineup, Michael, I would be okay using him. But Bell's the first guy I turn to because Bell, I can better project power going forward than I can with Alcides Escobar. Let's put Turner there and let's put Soto in the outfield. And then we are at $2,775. It might be tough to get there with the Blue Jays. So maybe you're looking at more of a choose your preferred option between Soto and Turner. You might not be able to get both, but I do think that we could still get there for sure. So that's the 4 I would turn to first. From a Blue Jays perspective, if Ryan Zimmerman is in there for today, then I would go to him too. Good numbers versus righties, but just not expecting him to start with Josh Bell at first base. Let's talk to DJ. Do you like Jon Berti's matchup for a lower salaried second baseman facing Eric Fetty? I just don't think Berti has a lot of power himself. So like the matchup's fine. And we talked about how before I'm not into Fetty, but like just from an individual batter perspective, I don't see a lot. 105 ISO versus righties for Berti. Does get stolen bases, so that works, but just not enough there for me to feel super drawn towards him. So let's try to find a different lower salaried second baseman. Let's go $2,500 or lower. Kevin Biggio works. His batted ball numbers are really bad recently, so that's why I'm trying to pepper the mid-range for the Blue Jays, not going down there. But hey, it's access to the Blue Jays, $2,500, probably bat an 8th for tonight. But, I think that could work. The Giants are facing Julio Urias. Don't want to go at Flores there. Ian Happ is facing Wainwright. Don't want that. Horner facing Wainwright as well. Leody Garcia, not a big upside guy. I don't think there are a ton of great lower salaried second baseman who you really want to use here. Isan Diaz actually would work. He got sent down a couple times. Let's check out what his numbers are versus righties. See if we can get there. 129 ISO, 40% fly ball rate, decent on hard contact. Let's see what the Baseball Savant and StatCast numbers are on Diaz so far this year. Because he's batted second, same match we were targeting with Berti, but probably a higher upside guy. 292 expected WOBA for him versus a 241 actual WOBA. I don't mind that, actually. The numbers in AAA, 240 ISO for Diaz there. So I would say if you're looking for a lower salaried second baseman, don't go Berti. Go with his teammate, Isan Diaz, as a guy at minimum salary could work. I actually don't mind that overall. So give me Diaz as a lower salaried second baseman. Danny is asking for my favorite GPP stack. I would say it's probably going to be the Nationals. I think that there are good situations when we don't know in the morning who a team will face, because when the people like me who are creating their content are talking about that situation, they don't know who that team is facing. And here it actually changed. I thought it'd be Holloway and it wound up being Neidert. So the Nationals probably didn't get a lot of buzz during the day as a result of the way the content works. Their implied total a bit lower, but I think it's a great matchup. So I'd say the Nationals are a tremendous tournament stack for today, and they will be my number one. And this actually does relate to what Patrick asked. He said, where do you put a Phillies stack on your list? Over on Facebook, Patrick is asking about the Phillies stack. I think they're a good tournament stack as well. Facing Asher Wojciechowski. Wojciechowski in AAA is getting a good number of strikeouts, which is why they're not as high on my list as the Tigers and the Rangers. But hey, I still think it's a situation that we can go at and feel okay about. So the Phillies, to me, do work, and they are a team I'm willing to stack. I believe their lineup is out. We got Didi batting 6th. We got Brad Miller batting 7th. Both those guys, lower salary. Both those guys have a path to upside. So I think that those are two more value plays to circle. Whether it's a mini stack or a full stack, I'm not really sure yet, but I would say they're probably 4th or 5th on my list, Patrick, but definitely one I'm willing to consider for today. Diffuse on YouTube. White Sox lineup is out now. It seems that they are going righty heavy with no Sheets or Goodwin. Does that downgrade them for you? Yes, because there are just fewer guys I want to use. Adam Engel, I tend to use mostly versus lefties, not versus righties. I'm okay using him versus lefties because he actually does have a little bit of power. Don't really want to go there versus a righty, though. Andrew Vaughn is a guy who tends to be mostly just in play versus lefties. I just don't think there's quite enough juice here to feel great about them. So yeah, that would downgrade them for me. They weren't super high on my list to begin with, but I'm okay bumping them a bit lower as a result of that. Aaron says, Minnesota Slim. I mean, Jim, is there a Minnesota Slim thing? Is that like a thing? I've actually never heard this phrase before. Either way, I like it. What's up, Aaron? Welcome to the FanDuel Live Q&A. I feel like we haven't really talked a lot about this Rangers versus Tigers game yet. And this is a spot that I do want to go for stacking. We do have the lineup out. So Nate Lowe batting 2nd here for the Rangers. That works. $2,500. I am very okay with that. John Hicks batting 5th. I've not checked on John Hicks in a while because I don't tend to stack the Rangers all that often. I try to avoid it whenever I can. Let's see what John Hicks has been doing versus righties. I think he's only at 10 plate appearances, if I remember correctly. 16 plate appearances, but a whole lot of power. My goodness. That doesn't matter in 16 plate appearances, but hey, I'd rather have a good 16 plate appearances than bad 16 plate appearances. Overall, looks like he's due for some pretty serious regression, but it's not terrible. So I could be talked into that. Let's actually clear out these Nationals here, and let's go to the Rangers stack. Check that out. I'm going to go with Lowe first at first base. Let's go Hicks. Does occupy my utility slot, but that's okay. I can live with that. And then let's go Gallo and Adolis Garcia. If we do that, it's going to be tough to stack those mid-range Blue Jays we were discussing. Maybe you go Isan Diaz at second base as like a one-off type thing, and then get 3 Blue Jays. 3,700 left. That's enough where you could actually stack the Blue Jays. So I think this is actually a pretty solid team to stack for today. Lowe and Hicks, both guys I'm willing to use from a value perspective. What was the rest of the lineup there for the Rangers? Brock Holt batting leadoff. The last time that I wanted to stack the Rangers, Holt was leadoff, and I completely ignored him, and I'm pretty sure he hit a home run. 111 ISO versus righties. I really, 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 really don't want to use Brock Holt, just as a general rule of thumb. Just don't want to do it. Really don't want to do it. Okay, I'm not going to do it. We'll just stick with the 2 through 5 in this lineup. David Dahl has had a really rough year. See if it's perked up at all a bit. 157 ISO. It's actually better than I thought. Let's see what his game logs look like from a batted ball perspective and see if those gains have been earned and whether we should expect them to continue in the future. Okay, so there's actually not a whole lot there. Let's go here, and I want to check out his StatCast numbers, let's say since July 1st. So since he came back, we've got a 39% hard hit rate, just one barrel so far. The batted ball data, a lot of ground balls. Okay, so I think that mainly for the Rangers, it's 2 through 5. I think that's probably where we're cooking for the most part for today. DJ is asking for a home run call for tonight. So trying to remember, this morning the home run calls were Joey Gallo and Akil Baddoo, both those guys in the lineup. So in order to maintain the integrity of the Solo Shot Daily Fantasy Podcast, I will be sticking with Joey Gallo and Akil Baddoo, both those guys. Really solid options for DFS, but also guys who we know can go deep. If I were to add one from where I was this morning and I want to take the cheap way out, I would go Juan Soto. So we'll go Soto, Gallo, and Baddoo as the home run calls for today. Fuse is asking about Yoan Moncada as a one-off. Moncada has had some issues this year from an upside perspective. I think it's just lingering stuff from when he had COVID last year. He said it took a lot out of him, and it seemed like he wasn't fully back yet. 161 ISO versus righties, does have a steal now, so maybe he's starting to run again. I think that he works as a one-off. He's a good player. I want to see him back to being in his old form. So yeah, I think that he works. Probably not super high on my list, but I think that I would be willing to go there. Julius is asking for the best pitcher for tonight. I think it depends on the format, Julius. If you are going single entry, I really do think that Robbie Ray is interesting. I'd expect people to avoid him because the implied total for the Red Sox is super high, because it's a tough matchup, et cetera, because McCullers is in a better matchup. But I just think Robbie Ray is really good. So I think that the tournament appeal is there. Now, if you're trying to play it safe, if you're multi-entry for tournaments, your top guy should be this guy, McCullers right here. I would have my most exposure to him just because he's a good pitcher, pitching well recently, in a good matchup at home. So McCullers is one if you want safety. Ray is one if you want to be different from the crowd while also having upside. And then Dylan Cease does work as well for a value play perspective, $8,600. Okay, so Cal has clarified for me that also Cal is not here, but he's here. So just a mind warp here. But Minnesota Fats is a renowned pool player. So maybe Minnesota Slim is renowned DFS analyst, Jim Sonis. Potentially. I'll work on this. Minnesota Slim. It sounds more like a nicotine product. That's what it sounds like to me. So we'll workshop this. I'll get the people behind the scenes shopping a nickname here. Let's talk to DePrince over on Texas or over on YouTube. I was reading the comment while saying that. Texas hasn't been scoring though. They're bad. So yes, you're right. They have not been scoring. But I think the matchup here does make a big difference against Matt Manning, a guy who has struggled so far in the big leagues, struggled in AAA too before the promotion. So yeah, they're not a team I use very often. I try to avoid them. I used Scooble against them last night in DFS. Didn't get enough strikeouts, but they didn't score runs. So I am not a big Rangers person in general. I just think this matchup is good enough to advantage them. But you're right, DePrince. They have not been doing a whole lot offensively. Let's see here. Talk to Patrick. Who would be your best one-off power bat for tonight? So let's disregard the stacks because I'm stacking the Blue Jays, so we can't do them. Talking about one-offs here. Stacking the Nationals, can't go there. And we'll cross off the Tigers and the Rangers too, just because I do think that they will be focal points for me from a stacking perspective. From a one-off perspective, if we're looking for some power, looking for a guy whose team we might not want to stack, but who is really good, I would say Giancarlo Stanton is a pretty good option. Facing the Phillies, their bullpen is not great. It is a bullpen game today for the Phillies. Obviously, we know we can go at opponents facing them. The problem that I have with the Yankees and why I don't want to stack them is that they're just down a lot of good hitters who I would want to use, but Stanton's like the one lingering guy. So if you want like a dude with upside on a team that I'm not super into stacking just because there aren't a lot of guys I want to use there, I would say that Giancarlo Stanton is the number one option for me for tonight. I like that question too, Patrick. So good question there, but I think that he'd be the guy for me. Let's talk to Danny over on Facebook. Best value player, $2,500 and under. So we talked about the Rangers guys in Lowe and Hicks before. I would say that they're up there. If I'm picking just one, though, it's probably going to be Josh Bell. We talked about that national stack before. He's $2,400, and he has had some decent power numbers this year. Not like amazing power numbers, but decent. $2,400, probably going to bat in the middle part of that lineup. decent power, outstanding matchup. I would say that the number one from a value perspective in that salary range would be Josh Bell for me. If you're looking for like a one-off punch play, Isan Diaz. I think I've talked myself into being pretty into him. So like, let's say you're stacking the Jays, just want some salary flexibility. So let's just do this for funsies. I'm curious. This is not for scientific reasons. I'm just actually curious how this works out. Let's go Diaz there. Got McCullers. Then let's go. I want Vlad just for funsies. Let's go with Vlad. I'm going to go with Bichette because he's undersalaried. I'm going to go with Teoscar, and I'm going to go with Springer. So if we have Diaz baked in there for that Vlad stack, it's $2,500 left. You can go Bell, and then depending on what happens with the Nationals, I think that does work. So I would say this is a good option for today, getting Diaz there, but also Bell number one from a value perspective. Aaron, is 4.33 implied total all that high for tonight's slate? I don't think so for Ray against Boston. FanDuel salary is not a value, though. So it's a lot of things combined. It is the salary combined with the fact that there is a guy in a better matchup right beneath him who is also at home. But it's not about the implied total being high relative to the slate. It's that there are other viable pitchers with lower implied totals. So guys beneath Ray include Dylan Cease, Adam Wainwright, and Lance McCullers, all guys we talked about on the show already. So if we're looking at this from that perspective, I would expect that maybe McCullers, Wainwright, and Cease won't all be more popular than Ray, but it is going to naturally push down the interest in them as a result of that. So it's not like a high implied total overall. It's just high relative to other relevant pitchers on this slate. Let's talk to Bradley. What's more important, pitching or hitting? I always start every lineup with pitcher. The first position I plug in. That's why when we're building out stacks here, I will have a pitcher in there just so I kind of know where I'm at, because pitching just, it makes up the bulk majority of the scoring for your lineup, but also it's more predictable. We kind of know what's going to work. And the true floor for every batter is 0. It's 0. Every guy can go for 4. Mike Trout has gone over 4, I'm sure, not thousands, but enough times in his career for sure. So if you're looking for predictable upside, you want to go pitcher. And that's why, to me, you probably all get annoyed with me talking about, the high salary guys all the time. I'm talking about McCullers here, talking about Ray here, but like, you kind of got to break the bank if you want strikeouts, and I want strikeouts. So to me, it's always about pitching first and then going to power hitters second. Maybe that does mean you're in a tight bind sometimes, but I think we can make it work. You can definitely make it work tonight, given guys like Bell, like Lowe, et cetera, et cetera. Let's talk to Kyle on YouTube. Do you like Toro as a one-off for tonight? Okay, so the Astros lineup, let's see if it is out. Doesn't appear to be as of yet. Let's see what Toro's salary is. The answer is going to be yes. I'm fine with him. But he's $2,500. I think that works. I'm okay with that for sure. So, yeah, I think that Toro works for sure. I would rank him below Bell and the Rangers guys. But, yeah, I think that Toro is someone who would be on my list here. Bradley is into Jordan Lyles. Personally, I am not, just because Lyles does not get a lot of strikeouts, and it seems like he's been struggling since the sticky stuff discussion began. This is a sample with more sinkers. 16% strikeout rate, really rough batted ball data, and I would say that it's been a tough stretch for him for sure. And I would note that Detroit has been a lot better recently. They beat up Kyle Gibson a couple nights ago. So I think the Tigers in general, not as much of a punching bag for pitchers as they would have been previously. And Harry Johnson is asking about, anyway, hello, HJ. We'll call you HJ for funsies. That's why I would not go Lyles for tonight. Aaron, he likes McCullers for 4 or less against Cleveland. Minnesota can kill Cease. Yeah, I think that Cease is risky for sure, but does have upside. Patrick doesn't really pertain tonight, but if a pitcher faces the same team back-to-back starts, can that hurt or help the pitcher? Definitely hurt. Very good question, though, because familiarity matters. Seeing the way a guy operates, you just saw the guy, you just studied the guy. I definitely do ding pitchers facing a guy who they just saw. It definitely does ding them for me. So yes, good question. And it does matter for me. And I would downgrade pitchers facing a lineup for the second consecutive time. Let's close things out here with Cal. Cal is going to go with a Boston and Houston stack, and he's going to go with don't get to use McCullers. I'm going against Robbie. Okay, so he's going to go with McCullers. Okay, so Cal is on full Houston with McCullers and the Houston stack, although Cal doesn't like the Astros. So I'm intrigued by this. Either way, Cal is on McCullers. I like McCullers. I think I like Ray more for single entry, but if you're multi-entering, I like McCullers more, but also Dylan Cease in there as well. That is all the time that we have here for today on the FanDuel Live Q&A. But as always, we are back here once again tomorrow to break down your questions on MLB DFS. We will be live here 4 p.m. Thursday and Friday. So make sure you are subscribed to the FanDuel YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, or Twitter page and get those questions in each and every day. If you have additional questions for me, I am on Twitter at JimSannes, JimSannes. Big thank you to Joy Affleck for running the video side of things here today. Awesome job, Joy, and thank you very much. And we'll talk to you all once again tomorrow. Good luck tonight. This has been the FanDuel Live Q&A.